Today, we're reviewing the first books of the year. Fuck my glasses. How fast did I do it? This is it! Hi everyone, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. No. Hey everyone, welcome back to Books and Their Covers. And today we are doing, like I said before, the first reviews of the year. So we're gonna have a good book and a bad one. I want to go for the good book first because I feel like we have a bit less to say about good books. So the first book that I went for is The Ice Monster by David Williams. So as soon as you picked up this book, you can see that this book is a children's book. But not only it's a children's book, it's a 470 pages long children's book. It's kind of an advanced reading for children. Very basically, this is a story of a 10-year-old girl and a 10,000-year-old mammoth. So how does that happen, you know? How do you get these two gathered? Well, it's very simple. This girl, called Elsie, is dropped at the steps of an orphanage. She grows up in this orphanage. When she is about 8 or 9 years old, she runs away. And it's when she starts finding a place to sleep in the Natural History Museum of London that she actually learns that there's a ice monster coming to London. She finds out when the ice monster comes that it is actually a woolly mammoth which was frozen, completely frozen over. Meanwhile, Elsie gets to know Dottie, who is the cleaning lady of the museum, and I can tell you right now, it's by far the funniest character in this book. She's considered daft, but at the end you can see that she is actually kind of smart sometimes, but still, she is dumb in this very, very funny way. She doesn't mistreat Elsie right away. On the contrary, actually, she befriends Elsie immediately. So how do we get from the dead frozen mammoth, to the alive friends with Elsie mammoth? In the museum, they find hiding out a professor that once almost made the whole museum catch fire, and he was banned. And so he stayed in the museum, living in there without anyone knowing, in his secret laboratory. The thing is, this professor is a bit self-absorbed, and he won't stop at anything to get to his objective, which is being better and more well-known in the world for his science. And he says a lot in the story that he is going to be better known and superior to Darwin and to all those guys, Newton and everyone. They meet him, and at first he seems like he's kind of nice, and he says that he has a way of bringing the mammoth alive back. And so his way of doing this is building an air balloon out of 1,000 handkerchiefs and one pair of boxers, which is going to be driven out into a lightning storm, by Dottie. And this is going to be connected to a copper wire, which is going to, be inserted into the mammoth, into its heart. And this actually works! So they bring the mammoth back to life, and then they actually find out that the professor just wanted this, to imprison the mammoth and show it to the world, so that the world can see how good he is, how great he is. So they escape, they bring the mammoth with them, and Elsie realizes that Wooly wants to go to north. She wants to go north. She wants to go to a place that is called home. She wants to follow the polar star, I think that's what it's called. So, going into a children's book, you obviously expect it to be fun, and it is fun. This book has a lot, and I tell you, a lot of fart jokes, which just shows how childish my sense of humor is, because I laughed at all of them. There's also this. These drawings are really amazing. The book has these drawings all over it. You can see here. The illustrations were done by Tony Ross. Props to both of them. Freaking amazing job. My rating was 4.5 out of 5 stars. After I read it, I immediately thought, I want to read this to my kids one day. So this is how you know how great this book is. But now we're switching to this one. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a disclaimer here for this one, because even though it wasn't a good book for me, I still learned a lot with it. And that's what I want to share here. This book was actually my first arc of all time. I asked this to Troubador Publishers, and I sent them an email asking if they could send it to me, because I was really curious about it, and they responded to that email saying that they had sent it. So, saying we've sent it this morning, and I'm like, whoa, okay, wow, that's great, thank you so much. About that disclaimer, here's the thing. I told Troubador, when I wrote that email, I told Troubador, like you can see right now, that I would give them my most honest opinion. whatever that was. This is my opinion. I'm gonna try not to get too passionate here, but if I do, just take notes on it. Kinda. Don't take it as an offense. Take notes on it. The first thing about this book that I went into, and this is actually what interested me about the book, this is kind of a historical fiction, and it's based on China's culture, a little bit of China's culture. So when I saw this, I was immediately excited because I wanted to learn about this culture. I wanted to learn a bit more. I wanted to know things, and I actually do. So that goal was accomplished, which is freaking amazing. But then here's the thing. I went and looked at the synopsis before I even asked for it, because of course I have to know what I'm asking for. If I'm not even interested in the book, why would I ask for it, right? Half of the synopsis is completely misleading. Bolin, a young man working on the old dragon's head, suffers visions of ghosts. Folk believe he has yin-yang eyes and other paranormal gifts. Yin-yang eyes is basically when you can see ghosts and have visions. When Bolin's fifth lord, the Prince of Yan, rebels against his nephew, a bitter war of succession ensues in which the Mongols hold the balance of power. Here, it starts getting misleading. Because while in the book there is a battle against the Mongols, this battle lasts for a second, and it's not important at all. It's not, really. It's just there. It just happens while something else is happening. While the victor might win the battle on Earth, China's dragon throne can only be earned with a mandate from heaven and the support of the old dragon. Useless. And let me tell you why right now. The Prince of Yan, who is supposed to be fighting for the throne of China, to be the emperor and blah blah blah, comes into the book at the beginning of the book, leaves, and then comes back in at the complete ending of the book. So it's like 200 pages when you don't even hear about him. Sure, it is where the story fits in time, but that's not the important part. And then it says, Bolin embarks on a journey of self-discovery, mirroring old China's endeavor to come of age. When Bolin accepts his destiny as the Dragon Master, heaven sends a third coming of age, for humanity itself. But are any of them ready for what is rising in the east? I have so many problems with this part. First of all, Bolin embarks on a journey of self-discovery. There's no journey. Like, seriously, Bolin, who is supposed to be the main character, first of all, doesn't show up a lot. Like, that's the first. Embarks on a journey. At first, when I read this, I thought, like, there's gonna be a journey through China, and this is gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna get to learn so many things about different cultures in China at that time. But no, he stays there, there's no journey, and then you think, well, it might be just a psychological kind of journey, where he learns to be that. But this doesn't happen. First, because he doesn't have enough screen time to do anything. And then it's like, he has headaches at the beginning of the book. Then at some point, he sees stuff, so he thinks he is possessed. They perform an exorcism on the guy. Nothing happens, so they tell him, well, you don't have a demon in you. And he goes to this seer, who is actually one of the other main characters. The culture here, the idea is that when one person dies, its soul gets transferred to another person who is being born at that time. And it's completely random. Like, if you're being born at that time, at the same time, you're just going to get the soul. And this is what happens. But Bolin comes to see her, and she's like, oh, you might be the bearer of the soul of someone who left this here. Here, take it. And he's like, no, I couldn't be this person. I couldn't be. And here's why. And this is just... He says he couldn't be that because he's the son of a fisherman. Okay, what's wrong with fishermen nowadays? Every hero with superpowers is son of a fisherman. Or the daughter of a fisherman. What are fishermen doing? Are they breeding heroes or... I didn't get this. Like, this is so cliche. This happens, and then the guy Bolin just bails on that and keeps on doing his thing. And at some point, suddenly, at the end of the book, he decides that, well, maybe I'm gonna accept this destiny. And he does what he's supposed to do for like 2 pages, and it's over. So there's no journey, seriously. I don't know why this is here. There are some things that I liked in this book, some things that I really, really liked, and I can tell you that some things here are amazing. But right now I want to focus on the bad things, just so that I can leave the good things to the end. There's this word we use a lot now in modern days, which is karma. And we use it in a specific line that everyone knows. Karma is a bitch. And guess what word is repeated like 500 times in this book? There's karma everywhere. So imagine yourself trying to read a book about ancient China and thinking karma is a bitch through the whole book. Karma basically means consequence. It's like you did this in your past, so now it's going to have a consequence. It's going to have either a good consequence or a bad one. So there are a lot of other words such as consequence to use instead of karma. And I'm not joking. This karma was used like 3-4 times in the same page. I'm not kidding. So this was really bad for me, and I actually at some points started thinking, let me annotate karma, where karma is every time. But I kid you not, you'd only see red in this book. The writing in this book is normal. It's nothing special, but it's not bad as well. But when it comes to dialogue, sometimes it really goes in a bad way. This is the author of this book, Justin Newland, and I don't think he's very well known. So I really want this to be a take notes on video, like next time be more careful about these kinds of things. Imagine this. You are having visions. You are having headaches. People are telling you that you might be special and that you might have something to do with the Dragon Master. And then this seer looks at you, looks at your ankle, and she says, when a soul gets transferred, the same birthmark stays in exactly the same place in this other body. And she sees the mark of a dragon, a little, like, rolled up dragon in Bolin's ankle. And she's like, oh, I have a letter for you about that. But she doesn't even think that he might have something to do with the dragon. Like, there's a huge dragon that they're trying to release and she doesn't remember this. And neither does Bolin. And he just ignores it and goes away. And basically, because this one idiot ignores it and goes away, Loli, I think Luli, something, this seer starts questioning herself, like her whole life's work, where everyone was always happy with their results, or everyone was never actually mad at her because she did her job right. Suddenly she's questioning herself because of this idiot. One idiot in like 30 or 40 years of her work. The last bad main part of this book is about Bolin again. Basically, the Dragon Master has to perform a ritual with the Dragon Pearl to call the dragon so that the dragon can help them. The dragon can't come if the ritual isn't performed this way. So Bolin finally decides that he is gonna take up his fate and he is gonna do this amazing ritual and he's gonna be awesome. And he comes into this vault that no one can really open. And he says the magic word, and he comes into the vault. And when he's inside, he ends up lighting up something, but I didn't really understand how he lit this, but this is probably just me. But he lit a fire on with a candle or something, and he found himself in this room. Now, what was in this room? There were 8 horseshoes. And these 8 horseshoes were meant to... were part of a ritual that was performed to keep the dragon enclosure there. And so when he grabs these horseshoes, he even has these visions, but I really don't know what those visions are for, honestly, because they happen. They don't have a contribution to the story or anything. And he drops the horseshoe, he goes ahead and he finds an altar. And by this altar, like closer to one of the walls, there is this big carpet. He goes there, and he opens the carpet, and what he finds is the body of the old Dragon Master, and he's dead. And he's like, oh my god, so I finally found him, because he had disappeared 20 years ago. Finally found him, but what happened to him doesn't matter. Right now, I have to find a way out of here, and a way to help the dragon. Right? And that's fine, that's the story. And then he goes up to the altar. Now there's a pearl missing. And when he looks at this little stand, he sees, okay, there's a little stand here, and I have to put something there. What is it? And here's the stupidest part. When you are in the middle of a task like this, and there's a dead body in the corner, that you have already seen and that you have already gone up there, there are two things that should happen. First one, if it smells, then you have already noticed it. It's not like 10 minutes after that you've been there, a body that's been there for 20 years, that you're going to notice that. So, suddenly, while he's trying to figure out what that stand is for, he's like, oh my god, it smells bad here. And when he says this, when the book says that the bad smell hit him, I'm like, oh no, please. And so he stops everything that he's doing to go and put the body away again. And when he gets there and moves the body moves, the mouth opens, and the pearl is in there. This book really made no sense to me in a story-wise way, but there's actually a good thing to him. At the beginning of every chapter, there are these sayings these Chinese sayings, basically, and they're really, really interesting. I really loved some of them. Iron will erode, rocks will decay, only the spirit never wears away. The great part about this book, which is actually great at, is how much you can learn from it still. I went into this knowing nothing, zero about the Chinese culture. And one thing that I loved was how much I've learned. I picked up this book because I wanted to learn more about China's culture, and I ended up doing exactly that, just not liking the story. I can tell you that I couldn't connect to any characters in this book. None. I couldn't, because they're dumb. They're not... I couldn't be empathic with them. I don't know. I couldn't connect. Maybe it was because there was karma, and I was constantly thinking about karma as a bitch, but... Again, this is my opinion. Yeah, 2 out of 5. I want to thank Troubador for sending me this book. This is it for this first review of January. As you know, this is Monday reviews. So this is the day of the week where I review books. So if you want more reviews, come back next Monday. I also have All Things Wednesdays, which is where I just do whatever the hell I want. And then Fridays, Friday Night Tags. The last one was kind of interesting. A lot of people really like that, and I appreciate that so much that you actually let me know how much you enjoyed it. You might have a surprise next Friday. Who knows? We'll see. What's coming? I don't know. If you wanna know, subscribe to the channel. Bye, I'll see you in the next one.